So it's been like 6 months since I've posted a video, and nothing's come out that I really felt like talking about. I'm working on an Elden Ring video, but this was the first thing that I felt like talking about. Now, the title's gonna be a little bit over the top. It's probably gonna be something crazy like the Overwatch killer or something over the top like that. But the point is, that might actually be true. So, what is everybody saying about this game? What are the general consensus on Marvel Rivals? And so, everyone was just saying that it's an Overwatch clone, and there's already enough of these out there, which is definitely true. It is most definitely an Overwatch clone. I mean, you can look at just the way the game is set up, a lot of the HUD, the abilities. That's what I've seen the most of, people comparing the abilities to characters from Overwatch, and like, yeah, they're similar, but there's 15 other types of games just like this, and this one takes the characters that you like and lets you play Overwatch with them. That's fine by me. It works well. It's free to play, at least right now in beta it is. I'll pay $70 for this game. I got no problem with it. As long as they keep updating it and keep the updates consistent and of quality content, they're updating the game in the damn beta. So I'm having a good time. I have almost 40 hours in the beta. Now, I could sit here and break it down and talk about the central gameplay loop and make a 45-minute video as to why this game is fun and enjoyable. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to sit here and list the pros and cons of this game. If you like Overwatch, you'll like this game. It has a little bit of balancing problems. Again, it's in beta. There's no release date for it right now. There's some characters that absolutely suck, and there's some characters that are really overpowered. But that's kind of every live service game ever at this point, so there's really not too much going on differently from any other type of hero shooter type game. My only concern right now is with how many characters they gave us in the beta. I want to say it's close to 20 with them adding the newest characters that they've added, that this is going to be it, and then we're going to launch and get maybe one or two characters at launch, and we'll have to wait 3 months to add one character. I think with how many betas this game has had and alphas and stuff like that, that'll probably hurt the game because it's had, at least 2 alphas. This is a closed beta. There's going to be an open beta, and then the game will launch. So before this game even comes out, I'm probably going to have close to 70 hours on it. So while that's not a bad thing, it means the game is fun and enjoyable. They definitely don't want to drip feed any more characters into the beta and have some more piled up for launch. Where I will say this game differs from Overwatch, though, is it's 6v6 instead of 5v5, and that's very much felt in the availability to kind of switch between the types of characters you're playing. So again, just like Overwatch, there's your tank, your DPS, and your healing, right? If those go-betweens means absolutely nothing to you, tank has a lot of health, DPS does damage, and healing heals. And with Overwatch, with their 5v5 setup and the way it works in ranked, you get a very even split. And the ranked system here, again in closed beta months before the game comes out, doesn't have that locked split. So what I mean by that is you're not forced, even with 6 players, to choose 2 tanks, 2 DPS, and 2 healers. You can be 6 tanks. You can be 6 healers. I don't know if there's 6 healers, but you get the point. And so what that does is it allows you to move things around in both an absolutely horrible and a really positive way. So I'll give you 2 examples. One, the one I just gave, if everybody wants to be DPS or a tank and you have no healers, you're going to lose. You need 1 really good healer or 2 decent healers in this game to do decent. The healers in this feel stronger than Overwatch. They feel like they're healing for more and they can output more damage. So that's just something that we're going to have to look at with balancing stuff and all of that. I'm sure it'll get changed, especially from the last playtest they did to this one. I know a lot got changed, so we'll see where that goes. But that's kind of the negative side. So you can get stuck having to play a healer if nobody's wanting to choose one because they're not locking into it like in Overwatch. I really hope that that's something that they add when the full game comes out. Now, the positive is that, let's say you're running, 4 damage, a healer and a tank, and that's not working out, you can switch to 3 tanks, a damage, and 2 healers. You can move that around, and as long as you have relatively a tank and 2 healers, you can move stuff around as to what your options are, as to what those other characters play and how they play. Well, just again, I've said Overwatch about 15 times, but just like Overwatch, you have ranged characters, melee characters, characters that kind of keep people distracted and push the back line, and then people who are meant to fight up front. A lot of the footage that you're seeing are probably from my first 20 hours, so it kind of looks like I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have that much playtime in Overwatch, but once I got into ranked and played a lot of different characters, I kind of settled in a lot more. And it is very overwhelming if you're coming to this game with absolutely no experience in Overwatch or anything like that, because there's a lot of terms that, again, you're not going to know. There's a lot of knockback and DPS, for example, and all of these different terms that you need to know. And they do a decent job of describing the abilities and allowing you to look at them while in-game, which is very important because of the roster of characters and how many different people you have and just the type of game this is, who this is going to appeal to. You need to have that simplicity in the menus of always being able to look at what your abilities do and how they're going to affect the game. But overall, like I was saying earlier, I feel that the characters are relatively, for the most part, fairly balanced, right? You always have the option, again, with those 6v6 and not having to lock in, of switching to different playstyles. So if they have a lot of people like Hella that are good at taking out those ranged characters that can fly, or they have a lot of flying characters that are hitting you hard, you don't have anything to combat that, you can always switch and change that up throughout the game. Now, I'm not saying I would be opposed to a mode where it locked your class in, because that would be a lot more consistent, because like with a lot of ranked systems, this game starts you out at the very bottom, and you have to work your way up as you win. Obviously, when you lose, you either don't move at all if you're at the very bottom, or go down in MMR. And so, in ranked, with them not having that system in place where it locks your class selection, you have games where you have no healers, and that screws you. And going from that bottom rank, or whatever I started out at, and bottom of bronze, and getting all the way up to the gold rank, and it actually, interestingly, in this game, tells you what % of players you're in, and as you go up each rank, which I actually really like. You don't have to use a third-party website and look it up and try to figure all of that out. So, like, for example, I just hit the bottom of gold, and it tells you you're in, like, the top 8% or something like that. And so that's something that's nice and unique to this game, at least from other games like this that I've played and other ranked systems that I've interacted with. But what I'm trying to say is that with that system not here, when you start out at the bottom, it's fine having 4 DPS, a tank, and a healer, or no healer and a tank, and you're fine at those very bottom ranks. But basically, once you get out of bronze, you gotta start mixing and matching things together. You gotta start pairing things, or you're just going to get absolutely smacked. Now, speaking of pairing things, the final thing I want to touch on that's the most unique to this game and different from other games is the team-up abilities. So, different characters have these abilities when two of your people on your team are playing said characters, that they have these unique things they can do. Some examples: Spider-Man and Venom. If one player is playing Spider-Man and another is playing Venom, I think Venom gets increased some amount of health, and then Spider-Man gets an extra ability to use. Same thing goes with Doctor Strange, Hulk, and Iron Man. Hulk boosts the damage for Doctor Strange and Iron Man. Black Panther interacts with somebody. There's some healers that do extra damage when you have certain allies on the team. Thor, Loki, and Hela can, like, revive Thor in some way. I didn't interact with it much, and there's some that are much, much better than others. For example, the Iron Man one, when you have Hulk, and Hulk's one of the weaker characters right now, at least in the beta, when you have him and you have his ability, Doctor Strange and Iron Man just do an absurd amount of damage. You will shred people. And so those are really good. And then there's some that are just really bad and lackluster and so situational that you're not going to use them a whole bunch. And then there's some that are just fairly balanced. For example, Rocket and Punisher just increases rate of fire and your ammo count. So there's a level of balance there that needs to be changed. Overall, they need to feel a bit stronger, and like the Venom and Spider-Man one, actually give you some kind of unique ability to make you want to pair up characters, but it's something interesting and unique that other games haven't done. Again, I didn't want to make this big, long, super complicated video. I'll save that for when this game actually comes out. We can talk about it for half an hour, but for right now, all you need to know is it's like Overwatch. There's some things that make it unique. It's your Marvel characters in Overwatch. It's a really good time. It's not too buggy for a beta. And yes, you have to have a key to get in, so that's kind of a pain in the ass, but when they finally do an open beta, you can get in and play it that way. It's a good time. I enjoy it a lot. Like I said, I have 40 hours on it in just a couple of days. But you guys, if you're playing this right now, let me know what you think. If you haven't been able to play this, if you've just been watching it, or if you haven't heard about this game at all, let me know what you think down in the comments below. And I know it's been a while, but we'll get back into doing these a little bit more regularly than every 6 months.